On this week's episode of the podcast, I decided to share a recording of a call I did about handling the holidays. I think you'll find it very helpful. If you're curious how to go into your holidays feeling planned, feeling like you're ready for this is the call you want to listen to. Also, if you hang on to the end, you'll hear a testimonial from one of my active clients. She is a one-on-one client and also a member of my Thrive After Infertility Mastermind, and you can hear exactly how working with me has changed her and changed her perspective.
Today is going to be the last day in our lives that we're going to have to struggle around the holidays. There are so many of us that just struggle in silence. And what we want to uncover today is like why we carry that burden with us, why it feels so heavy. And I know that there's so many women out there that are feeling the same things, and why it is that we feel shame around our story or lack around us as women if we don't walk in with a child, or if you're not married yet, if you don't have a spouse or a partner that every year you just sort of feel like all eyes are on you when you walk into that gathering. I created the holiday guide, so I'm going to go over the guide today and, just kind of a general way of how you can use it. And also, we're going to talk about some of the mistakes that people make and why this topic's important, and why being childless around the holidays doesn't have to feel heavy forever. So doing the journal prompts, I think were really helping me and just sorting out what junk was going on in my mind. I'm going to show up and feel proud of who I am, even though I don't have a child, and not have to feel like nervous if somebody asks me a question, because let's be honest, some of these people you might not have seen for a while. Your childlessness may become a topic with your family, and you might be hearing things like, oh, time's running out, or you really need to get on it, or time is ticking. And all of that is making you feel really uncomfortable and incomplete and lacking. And maybe your mom can be running interference for you. If anyone has a mom like mine, she is not afraid to let her voice be heard. And she is always very willing to be like, listen, Lana's not wanting to talk about that this year. So maybe you can have your mom run interference, or maybe you have a cousin that you're close with, and you can be like, hey, Jen, do me a favor, have your mom tell so-and-so, like, just not to bring anything up. I'm not up for talking about it. But if we go in there and we don't have a plan for how we want our data to roll out for us, because we can't anticipate everything that people are going to say. So if we don't have a plan, then we're going to get sidetracked by these questions. Let's just take a few minutes and let's think, what's an answer you want to come up with? It doesn't have to be a perfect answer, but what's something that you can say that feels true to you and serves your energy? Maybe something like, oh, thanks for asking, I'm not up for talking about it. Maybe thanks for asking, but it's not going to happen for us, but I appreciate your support. Maybe thinking of some ways that sets boundaries for you and lets people know, like, this is not going to happen for us. You can stop wondering. And if they feel sorry for you, I know for me, that was a big thing. I just felt so uncomfortable with people feeling sorry for me, because I was always the very strong one in our family, the one who was successful, who had a great career. And I felt very uncomfortable with people feeling sorry for me. So think about, before you even start the holidays, like, what are some canned answers or canned things that you want to make available for you to just not have your mind start to go into this spiral of, oh my God, she's asking me, I knew this was going to happen. But you can go in there and just feel prepared. Prepare that energy for yourself of how you want to walk in going. This can translate to other parts in your life, because let's be honest, we have those people at work that are talking about their holidays and the fun things they're doing with their family and the family Christmas photos. And so when we start to understand that we can have these prepared moments in our mind already available to us, and when we've played it out, those scenarios in our mind, we can just learn to have things happen around us, but not feel like we need to deplete our energy in the words or the experiences that other people are having. When we get very clear on these type of mental exercises, it becomes a lifelong practice. And that's something that I work on with my students, is really being mentally prepared, knowing what we're feeling, knowing how we want to react to things. How do you want to feel about showing up to your holidays this year? It might be complete, joyful, confident, secure. Some people I know feel like it's not fair. Like, why can't I just walk into Thanksgiving and not have to do all this mind work ahead of time? And instead of feeling like it shouldn't be this hard, or I shouldn't have to do all this work, and I should be able to, all the shoulds and the shoulding all over yourself. I'm sure you all heard that term before. But when we think of things like I should be somewhere, like what if we are just where we are, and we're lucky that we have these tools? Whether you have a child or not, the ability to read your mind and know what you're capable of as being this human being is really such a great gift. When I started realizing the power that I had to create the life that I wanted, even though it looks so different than I ever thought it would, I started to feel like this lightness in my life. And people would come up to me, and it was like this crazy significant shift that literally people would be like, Lana, you're glowing. And I would be like, really? They didn't know I was working with a coach, and they didn't know that I was working on all this stuff behind the scenes. And then I started thinking about, when you hear he has a glow, it's usually what? The pregnancy glow, right? Everyone's like, oh, you're glowing. You have that pregnancy glow. And then I was like, how ironic that people are telling me, like, literally, they chose that adjective of glowing to describe me. And I was like, well, shit, maybe I don't need to have a baby inside of me to feel like I'm glowing. All this stuff that is available to us, but we get so pointed to only allowing motherhood or a child to give us that feeling of fullness and glow and that pride that we want to have so badly, but we think we're not deserving of it because we haven't had a child. Like, that shit is available, like, right now. And that is what has been so magical for me to realize in my own life, because I wasn't somebody who was like a woo person. I was very much like, came from an immigrant family. You work hard, you go to school, you get your degree, you let people know that you'll do anything to be successful and that you're smart and that you're not lazy. All these things that had me feeling very like, if I gave more and more of myself, then I would be rewarded. But the truth is, if we just look at ourselves and realize we're worth reward right now, the magic just happens on its own. The pride that I have, even knowing that my life didn't turn out like I thought it would, or that people maybe feel sorry for me, like, they're allowed to feel sorry for me. But if I don't feel sorry for me, and let's not get confused, not feeling sorry for yourself is not the same as like feeling compassion. And you might have heard me talk about that self-pity versus self-compassion episode on the podcast. I could feel, of course, I feel sad around the holidays. I don't like wake up and click my heels when I see somebody's child on Facebook, the pictures of them sitting on Santa's lap. But I could be like, yeah, of course you wanted to know what that felt like. Learning how to feel self-compassion instead of feeling like I'll never feel happy because I don't have a child to sit and take pictures with Santa or write a letter to Santa. What if for us, it just happens to be like another date on the calendar? I think we put a lot of pressure on a date for us to feel a certain way. How do we want to feel like we're connected? Or how do we want to feel like it's about us? And so I found that paper thinking, and for me, I wasn't someone who was like a journaler by nature. So when someone gave me a prompt, it would just kind of help my juices start flowing in my mind. And then I would get the information out on paper and start to recognize what it is that I'm feeling, because it just didn't come naturally to me. So In the holiday guide, there's a couple journal prompts, and maybe just play with a couple of them. Decide how do you want to feel, how you can feel joyous, even though you don't have children. Maybe it's this new holiday tradition, some of the things that you want to start to define what you find successful or what you find fulfilling or what you find happy for you that maybe are outside of the norm of what you grew up doing or how you grew up celebrating. When you get clear on what it is that's going on in your mind, it really gives you a framework of what it actually is that's going on. Is it that you don't have kids, or is it that you don't feel appreciated, or that you don't feel like you have something to give, or that your presence is enough just being you? I encourage you to go through, there's 7 of them in the guide, and decide how you want to do them. If you're not like a regular journaler or paper thinker, maybe just take one every couple of days. I don't ever think I'll live my life being like, oh, I'm so glad I went through infertility and I did 7 years of fertility treatments and I didn't become a mom. Like, that doesn't seem true to me, but I can find moments of, you know what, I wanted to be a mom. I desired it so much and I tried my best. And even though it didn't happen, I continued to not give up on myself. And I continued to find tools that could help me live this enriched and fulfilling life. Realizing that your story doesn't have to end at infertility, and your story doesn't have to end because you didn't have a child or didn't find a partner, or your marriage didn't work out after your fertility journey ended, that you and your partner went separate ways. My relationship with my husband, I feel like, has grown so much because of that struggle we went through, and because we've decided, okay, this is about us. If it's not going to be kids, what is it that we're going to create together as a couple? When you see a concept that speaks to you, and this is something that I think really was transformative for me in coaching, is I never knew how to create an action plan beyond just being attracted to a concept, being like, yeah, I knew I wanted to feel better, or I knew I wanted to be thriving again and feeling fulfilled again, but I just didn't know that I could create an action plan for myself. I just thought if I left enough years in my life to grieve, then I would automatically at year 5 start feeling better. That's why I have my coaching community, because I think it's so important to really dig deep. And so when we work together, and some of the folks here, you know, we've worked together before or are actively working together, it really like challenges you. And we avoid wanting to dig deeper, I think, because it feels uncomfortable to say, oh my God, am I still like really talking about my infertility? Am I still feeling broken? Am I still feeling like I have no purpose? And when we realize, like, of course we feel this way. Like, we've always been ingrained in this society to think if you don't have a child, there's something wrong with you. But when we decide that that doesn't have to be our truth, and that we can maybe sometimes feel that way, but that doesn't have to be our blanket statement for our life, or we can decide, we create an I desire statement. When you know what you're desiring in your life, then that's when life starts to open up for you, and you just become the driver in the seat of your future. When you start working with a coach, and we do this in my community, like, and I'm so grateful to have the tools that I received, because what I teach is what I've done in my own life. And I have a one-on-one coaching practice. I also do a small group called Thrive After Infertility. And if anyone who's been in either parts of that part of my community can share, what is it that you get out of being part of a community? Or what is it that you've gotten out of coaching? I would love for you to share.
As being a Thrive small group member, oh, I know in adulthood it's hard to find friends. Having that small group community, y'all, if I could just share, like, I just know in my phone, like, if something is really bringing me down, or if there's like a win, something I could celebrate, like, I have a little group of friends that I can share it with. And it's different from like my childhood friends who I grew up with, who it's just, kind of superficial now at this point in life, where you just, share big news or something like that. But the nitty gritty, like, it's so nice to be able to have like friends, real faces, real girls who I know can be like, yeah, girl, that sucks. Or, hey, what if you thought about it this way? Like that advice, just that validation. That's one thing. I think that concept of friendship, I did not expect that from like small group therapy. I was like, or, coaching. Because to me, it's like therapy in my soul. So I would say that's one thing that I wasn't expecting, because I just thought, oh, it would just be like coaching friends. No, it feels deeper than that. And I know the ladies who are in a small group, it's really nice to have that sense of friends who know what you're going through. And it's not just friends, just like circumstance, or you grew up in the same place or something like that. It feels like a deeper connection. And I didn't realize how much I craved that sense of connection. I just thought, oh, I'm independent. I'm a grown up. Grown-ups don't really need close friends. I kind of see through that now as kind of a defense thing. And now that I've kind of have this curated, honestly, it feels like curated based on how Lana has set up the group. That's really something I didn't realize would be important to me, that now I'm like, okay, like I look forward to every week. I know I've got that, that people in kind of my back pocket there. I can just pull out, message. So that's something I just wanted to share from my personal experience.
I do my best to show up and offer the tools in my coaching programs that I know I needed, because when I realized that I wasn't going to be a mom, like I felt so lost, and I felt like there was no one around me that understood me. The fact that I could create this community with my story has just been my greatest gift. You haven't worked with me yet, and you're thinking about hiring a coach and thinking about working with someone, know that it is the most transformational work you can offer yourself. We live in a society where it's always do for others, and we're always the last one to take care of ourselves. As we're going into the holidays, know that I'm your cheerleader, and regardless of where you are in your journey, you may think that your story is too hard and you've had more miscarriages than anyone you know, and that you've done more rounds of IVF, or you've searched for the best partner to have a child with. Like, we all have our own subset of beliefs that we have about ourselves, but you're never too far gone to start believing in yourself and investing in yourself, because we're all we got. And that might feel very lonely to you, but when you get to this side of things, having yourself and having your back is the greatest gift. And I've never felt more confident and more fulfilled in being in existence in my own self, and looking in the mirror and being like proud of who I am.
I am certain that you got some great information out of listening to the recording of this call. And if you're at all interested in creating a future where you feel like you are thriving again and feel fulfilled again, then you will not want to miss my next round of Thrive After Infertility. I only have spots for 4 people this round. So if it's something that you're interested in, please send me a message and let me know, and I will get the application over to you ASAP, because we're going to start our next round in January, and I want you to have the best 2023 you ever imagined. So have a beautiful week. Know that I love you and that it's never too late to discover your meaning. I'll talk to you next week.